Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt a heavy, unexplainable presence, as if the atmosphere had shifted without warning? Sometimes it's not paranoia, it's discernment. When your spirit is awakened, you begin to see the world through different eyes, and what once seemed normal starts to feel off, especially when you're one of the chosen ones. These shifts aren't coincidences, they're spiritual indicators, because after your awakening, darkness takes notice. Evil doesn't waste energy attacking what it already owns. It targets the light. And if your light has grown, you've likely become a marked soul in the spiritual realm. This message is especially for the awakened empaths, the highly sensitive, and the souls who have been called for something greater. When you start healing, evolving, and stepping into your divine assignment, you'll notice something disturbing. Your energy begins to attract enemies you never knew existed. These are not just people. These are spirits wearing human masks. You'll find yourself surrounded by familiar energies in unfamiliar faces. They look different, but the spirit behind the eyes is the same. It's not a glitch in your memory, it's spiritual warfare. And the moment you begin to recognize these recurring patterns, you'll understand that some of these entities don't just follow you, they jump bodies to reach you. Once you awaken, you cannot go back to sleep. The veil is lifted, and the spirits that once operated in secret must now reveal themselves. This is not to scare you. This is to prepare you. Because when the light comes on, the roaches scatter, but they never leave without a fight. And trust me, they'll use whoever is closest to you. If this resonates with something you have experienced, write in the comments, "I am prepared," and declare to the universe that your power is with God. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel right now, and activate the notification bell so that these truths continue to reach your soul exactly when you need them. After your awakening, everything shifts, not just inside of you, but around you. The relationships you once relied on suddenly feel misaligned. The conversations that used to energize you begin to feel empty. Friends become distant, family starts to misunderstand you, and lovers begin to mirror shadows instead of light. This isn't personal, it's energetic. When your frequency rises, it exposes what cannot rise with you, and as painful as it may feel, the distance is divine protection. What you're shedding are not just people. You're shedding portals that could be used against your purpose. I remember when it first happened to me. I had encountered someone who seemed elevated, charming, intuitive, but there was something behind her words that didn't sit right with my soul. At first, I brushed it off. I thought maybe I was just being guarded. But over time, the mask began to slip, and I realized I wasn't dealing with a person. I was face to face with a spiritual narcissist. She knew who she was. She admitted it with pride. And that's when I understood. Some spirits wear their disguise openly because they've never been challenged by real light. You see, once your light activates, the game changes. You don't attract random people. You attract assignments. These entities, often masked as soulmates or twin flames, are on missions to drain you, to distract you, to keep you from stepping into your divine inheritance. They'll come with promises of connection, intensity, and even healing. But beneath the surface lies chaos, division, despair. That's why, chosen one, you must learn to look beyond the face and feel the frequency. The enemy is strategic, and the most dangerous attacks always arrive gift-wrapped in desire. It doesn't stop at one. Once that spiritual trap fails, another one comes. The spirit jumps. Same energy, different body. And if you don't heal what made you open to it the first time, it will return dressed differently, but with the same mission. After I left the first entanglement, it only took a few weeks before another one appeared. Same charm, same tactics, same hunger for my light. This was no coincidence. This was a coordinated pursuit. I wasn't just being followed, I was being hunted. But this time, I had eyes to see. And that's how they move. These spirits know they can't stop a chosen one who is aware. So they work fast. If they can't break your spirit through one person, they'll send another. Sometimes within days, sometimes within hours. They'll appear in the form of sudden friendships, new romantic interests, even spiritual mentors. But their access point is always the same: relationship. Because when you let someone into your heart, you also open a door to your energy. And if that door isn't guarded by discernment, they'll walk right in and wreak havoc. There is no easier path into your spiritual system than through intimacy. That's why most attacks come clothed in love. A beautiful woman, a handsome man, someone who just gets you. But chosen one, don't be deceived by beauty. Discern energy. Many of these people don't even know they're being used. They're not all evil. Some are just empty. And emptiness becomes a perfect vessel for anything looking to fill it. That's why you must stay prayed up, aligned, and spiritually alert. This is not a game. It's warfare. And your peace is the prize. One of the greatest gifts you receive after awakening is divine discernment. It's like putting on spiritual glasses for the first time. Suddenly, things you ignored before become glaringly obvious. You start to feel the shift in a room, the tension behind a smile, the hidden agenda in someone's eyes. And while this gift can feel isolating, it is also your greatest shield. God didn't just wake you up, He equipped you. So start trusting your knowing. When your spirit tells you something is off, don't wait for proof. Confirmation often comes too late. After that second encounter, I didn't even have time to process before another one appeared. This time, it only took me a day to recognize the same spirit I had dealt with before. Same manipulation, same draining presence, same spiritual fingerprint. That's when I knew. This was not about coincidence. This was spiritual targeting. It became clear that these entities don't just seek proximity. They rotate bodies like changing clothes. And once you become aware of their patterns, you start seeing how they operate in cycles, not individuals. At first, it almost feels surreal. You keep asking yourself, is this really happening again? The face is different. The voice is calmer. The setting is new. But something in your spirit recoils. Because the vibration is identical. It's not paranoia. It's perception. And the sooner you stop judging the situation by your eyes and start trusting your inner knowing, the faster you cut off the assignment before it takes root again. This isn't about obsessing over enemies. It's about mastering your awareness. That's when the emotional fatigue sets in, not just from the people, but from the patterns. You get tired of always being on edge, tired of wondering who's next, tired of opening your heart only to sense the same familiar disruption. But this weariness isn't a sign of weakness. It's proof that you've been standing on the front lines of spiritual warfare. And even in that fatigue, heaven has been fortifying you. You're not just enduring, you're learning. You're building spiritual reflexes, the kind that no longer need days to identify a spirit, just seconds. And once you've seen the pattern, you stop personalizing the attack. You stop blaming yourself, wondering what you did wrong. You start realizing that your anointing makes you a magnet, not for admiration, but for assignments. Some sent by heaven, some sent to test what heaven has built. This shift in understanding changes everything. It moves you from reaction to revelation, from confusion to clarity. You stop being surprised, and you start being strategic. So when it happened again, even in a professional space, I didn't question myself. I didn't overthink it. I just observed the signs, confirmed the frequency, and withdrew my energy. Not out of fear, but out of authority. Because when you've walked with God long enough, you stop waiting for people to change, and you start moving the moment the Spirit reveals itself. And that's exactly what happened next. Eventually, I ran into one of them at work, a completely different environment, and yet The same energy, that cold stare, that passive-aggressive tone, the subtle ways they tried to provoke reactions. And again, I had to walk away. But I wasn't surprised anymore. By then, I understood that these spirits don't give up easily. When one host fails, they enter another. And if you're not guarded, they'll try to catch you off guard through the most unexpected people. A coworker, a neighbor, even someone in line at the store. Why do they come like this? Because their mission is spiritual assassination. These entities aren't here to play games. They're here to finish what was started. If one fails to bring you down, another is deployed. It's like a demonic relay race. Each one gets closer to your weakness. And their goal is simple: wear you down, confuse you, exhaust your faith, and distract you from your calling. That's why some of you feel constantly surrounded. It's not in your head, it's in your spirit. You are under pursuit, not because you're weak, but because you carry divine potential. And here's something most people don't understand. These spirits need access. They cannot touch you without permission. That's why they use relationships as entry points. But access doesn't always mean consent. Sometimes your pain gives them an opening. Sometimes your loneliness does. That's why, chosen one, you must stop entertaining people who vibrate at frequencies your spirit no longer belongs to. They might look harmless, but if they are not aligned with your light, they can unknowingly become tools for darkness. You may be wondering, but why does this keep happening to me? Because in the spirit realm, one failure isn't the end of the mission. It simply triggers the next assignment. They call it body jumping. And if you've never heard of it, now is the time to wake up. These entities can hop from one person to another, carrying the same spirit, the same energy, and the same assignment: to break your spirit. And if you don't close those energetic doors, they'll keep entering through anyone close enough to reach you. I once watched a film that portrayed this perfectly. A spirit moving from one body to another, chasing one soul with relentless hunger. And in real life, it works the same. These entities are not limited by time or space. They move through energy, and as soon as you walk away from one, another appears. You may not recognize it immediately, but your soul will start picking up on it. That same eerie feeling, that sudden spiritual exhaustion, that need to protect your peace. Trust those signs. They're not fear, they're warnings. You have to understand, this is not about the people. It's about the spirit behind them. That's why, when you cut ties with one toxic person, another one shows up almost instantly, and they'll wear a different face, a different voice, a different excuse. But the energy? Identical. Because the enemy doesn't care about personalities. It cares about proximity. The closer someone is to you, the easier it becomes to plant seeds of doubt, distraction, or destruction. That's why discernment is not optional. It's spiritual survival. This is why awareness is everything. Once your eyes are open, you stop judging by charm and start listening to energy. You start catching the shift in tone, the strange timing, the unease in your spirit. It doesn't matter if they come with kindness or compliments. You start picking up on what your soul already knows. Because familiar spirits aren't just spirits that revisit. They are patterns, emotional triggers, atmospheres. And the enemy relies on your emotional blind spots to gain ground without resistance. That's why the enemy doesn't need to attack you violently. It only needs to attach to you quietly, through subtle influence, through sudden attraction, through fake empathy that masks deep envy. These aren't random people crossing your path. They're spiritual vessels. And if they're not carrying light, they're carrying assignment. You don't need to be afraid, but you do need to be alert. Because what comes to flatter you can also be what's meant to fracture you. And if you don't discern the difference, you'll confuse bondage with blessing. Let's be honest, some of the people you thought were safe were simply strategic, sent not to bless your life, but to block your anointing, sent not to help, but to harvest what you carried. And they succeeded, until you woke up, until you noticed the pattern, until you stopped mistaking chaos for chemistry. That's when the cycle started to break. That's when your spirit stopped falling for recycled roles in new bodies. That's when you started becoming untouchable. Not because you're unreachable, but because you're rooted. And once you're rooted, the game changes. What used to slip through now hits a wall of discernment. What used to tempt you now triggers caution. You begin to realize, I was never weak, I was unaware. And now that I'm aware, I'm not giving out access just because someone feels familiar. Familiarity is not the same as safety. Proximity is not the same as purpose. You were born to steward spiritual ground, and that means protecting your gates with wisdom. You can still walk in love, but now you walk with armor. It took me a long time to realize that I wasn't cursed, I was chosen. And that's exactly why so many spiritual attacks had to come. Because when you carry a rare oil, you attract rare warfare. The spirits that jump bodies to get to you aren't just random. They're calculated. They study your patterns, your wounds, your desires. They know what kind of person can disarm you. That's why the enemy often sends what looks like everything you prayed for, but comes attached to spiritual poison. It's not about the face, it's about the energy behind it. And if you don't examine what's behind the door, you may unknowingly invite the storm inside your home. Many of you are confused because the faces keep changing, but the chaos remains the same. One moment it's a lover, the next a friend, then a boss, a client, even a mentor. And the cycle never ends. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because the lesson hasn't been fully integrated. The moment you start recognizing that energy instead of the person, everything shifts. You begin to walk away quicker. You stop explaining yourself. You stop doubting your intuition. And in doing so, you begin to starve those spirits of the attention they crave. The truth is, the enemy is betting on your fatigue, on your desire to finally have someone who understands you, someone who feels safe, who looks healed, who says all the right things. But, chosen one, spiritual warfare isn't always loud. Sometimes it's disguised as comfort, the kind that makes you want to let your guard down too quickly. But just because something feels different doesn't mean it's divine. If the fruit is confusion, if your spirit feels compromised, then no matter how sincere they seem, something isn't clean. And this is the moment many get trapped, right at the edge of breakthrough. You've done the work, you've gained awareness, you've identified patterns, but the test comes in a softer form. It won't scream at you, it will soothe you. It won't come to destroy, it will come to distract. And if you haven't fully integrated the lesson, that distraction will feel like destiny. That's why God doesn't just want you to notice patterns. He wants you to honor what you've learned. Because wisdom unguarded quickly becomes recycled pain. It's not that your heart is wrong for wanting connection. It's that your spirit must lead now. You've grown too much to keep doubting what your soul keeps confirming. That unease you feel around someone is not a glitch. It's grace. It's protection wrapped in intuition. And the more you honor that inner alarm, the clearer your path becomes. Because clarity doesn't always come through confirmation. Sometimes it comes through conviction. The deep knowing that you don't owe anyone access just because they appear healed. So don't ignore the repetition. Don't justify the energy. You've seen this before. Different name, different context, same drain. And the moment you stop personalizing the pattern, you start gaining authority over it. This is the spiritual graduation. When you stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring, "Not again." That's when heaven knows you're ready. That's when the cycle finally breaks. You cannot keep entertaining familiar spirits in unfamiliar bodies. This is where many fall, in the illusion that this one is different. Hurry, but when you feel that same emotional drain, that same spiritual heaviness, that same tension in your soul. Believe it. It's the same energy. That's why we don't walk by sight, but by spirit. You have to let your discernment speak louder than your eyes, because some of the most beautiful people are the most dangerous portals. Don't let the packaging distract you from the purpose of your protection. And here's the truth. The enemy can only use what you're still attached to. If you still crave validation, he'll send someone to flatter you. If you're still afraid of loneliness, he'll send someone to occupy your space, but not your soul. If you're still chasing love without purpose, he'll send lust dressed up as destiny. That's why your healing is urgent. Your healing is your protection. Once you no longer need what the enemy offers, you become untouchable, because you stop falling for the bait and start recognizing the trap. The most painful realization for a chosen one is that love alone isn't enough to let someone in. They must be aligned. They must be spiritually awake. They must carry their own light. Because when someone is disconnected from their own soul, they become open territory. And guess who's watching for that opening? That's right, the spirits that have failed to reach you through others. They're looking for another access point, another door, and they'll use anyone who isn't rooted. That's why your circle gets smaller, your standards get higher, and your silence becomes sacred. You might feel like you're being paranoid, but that's just your discernment being activated. You're not imagining these patterns. You're not exaggerating the spiritual attacks. The enemy is relentless because your purpose is unstoppable. And even though it feels exhausting, this is the refining. The fire is not here to burn you. It's here to reveal you. It's here to show you how powerful you've become. Because you're no longer reacting like you used to. You're no longer accepting what you used to tolerate. And that means the spirits that once had easy access now find closed doors. One by one, those spirits will try. They'll knock, they'll smile, they'll flatter. They'll offer you connection, romance, opportunity, sympathy, anything that resembles the thing you desire most. But chosen one, listen to me. Not every offer is a blessing. Some are distractions in disguise. And if you're not deeply rooted in who you are, you will open your soul to what was meant to destroy you. This is why your journey may feel lonely, but it is sacred. Because isolation is God's invitation to elevation. Protect it like your life depends on it, because spiritually, it does. You were never crazy. You were never imagining it. You were seeing the truth that others couldn't, and that is your power. While the world is distracted by appearances, you've learned to see in spirit. You've learned that some battles are silent, some enemies wear smiles, and some attacks are disguised as love. But you've also learned to protect your peace, like it's holy ground. And it is. Because where there is peace, there is God. Where there is God, there is light. And where there is light, darkness has no place to hide. You are not just avoiding danger. You are walking in divine intelligence. And that, chosen one, is your greatest protection. So I want to ask you something powerful right now. Have you ever seen the same energy come back in different bodies? Have you felt that eerie familiarity in someone you just met? If so, comment below. I recognize the spirit. This is your declaration to the universe that you're no longer fooled by outer forms. And please, hit the like button below, subscribe now, not just for content, but for clarity, truth, and spiritual growth that meets you where your soul already is. And to those of you who have been supporting this work through Buy Me a Coffee, I thank you from the depths of my heart. Your support helps this channel grow and allows me to continue creating meaningful, life-changing content for you and for every chosen one out there. If you feel led to support, the link is in the first pinned comment below. Before you go, I invite you to keep this fire burning. Watch the next video appearing on your screen. It was chosen for a reason. Or better yet, dive into the full playlist and let these truths minister to your spirit in layers. Every video is a piece of the puzzle. a step in the healing. Don't stop here. You're only getting stronger. You're not just watching videos, you're activating purpose. Until next time, may peace guard your spirit, may wisdom guide your steps, and may discernment shield your path. I love you deeply, and I honor your journey. You're not alone. You never were. See you in the next one. And remember, light always wins.